Hey guys, well, I'm out relatively early today, and as you can see, I'm out with the bus. So this video is going to be kind of a hodgepodge of bus stuff, new toy stuff, and Loadstar stuff. On the Loadstar, done a little work on the axle this week, and finish up a little bit more. I'll give you an update on that stuff going on, where we stand on it, and then the goal is that today we're going to get that driver's seat out for one, so we can start fitting it into the Loadstar. But then number two, we are going to try to get all the rest of these seats out. So let me show you what I'm going to be using for that task, hopefully. So this is the part where the new toy, comes in. We bought one of these yesterday. I probably should have just bought like a, mid-80s four-wheel drive Ford Ranger or something for about $1,000. But anyway, my wife does a whole lot of stuff with her animals, suffice it to say. And she, let's get this panned out a little bit. There we go. And as you can see over there, you can see those piles of hay, straw, she's always mucking out her animal barn. And I got to the point where I felt really bad watching her wheelbarrow all the way up over there from the house across the street, and then all the way, sometimes not just there, but way back there. So the power dump box on this thing will come in real handy, and it's just really fun to take the kids out and go for a ride. So anyway, way too much money, but you only live once, right? So anyway, it's my new work truck for working on stuff, so it's kind of impressive. It's got a steel bed with a spray-in liner, pickup style tailgate here. It's tiny, but anyway. So you can see tools for the day. Well, it's not for the day. Hopefully this takes a couple hours. My goal, get all these damn seats out so I can then use the Gator to put a whole bunch of stuff into that bus and get the barn cleared out a little bit in the garage, because yesterday we cleaned out the garage, and the Gator is not going to live outside like the four-wheeler did. Four-wheeler is going to get sold now, but this thing's is living in the garage with my wife's Explorer. So anyway, we had to make a bunch of room, and we want to get some of the storage stuff that was in the garage out to the barn. And in order to do that, we got to get barn stuff into the bus. So tools of the day, back to that, right? We got the ridiculously overkill generator. This is my backup generator for the house. So it's way too big for what we're doing. It's a 7,500 watt, and it's really heavy and was a pain in the ass to get up in here. But then we've got our extension cords. We've got my big grinder with a fresh, haven't used this since I think taking over the Fleetstar, to be honest with you, back a year ago, more than a year ago, year and 4 months ago. But anyway, sorry, I'll keep my fingers out of there. Got a fresh grinding wheel on that. I know it's too small. Don't laugh at me. We got mass quantity. Well, not that we're going to use these for grinding off heads of bolts, but picked up mass quantities of cut off wheels because I go through them a lot. So we've got small grinders in case those come in handy. Can't find a good pry bar construction bar, so we're going to use a pickle fork and a hammer. If we got to pop some stuff off, a couple extension cords, we're going to go through and try to bust heads off of bolts first so we don't have to grind them. So that'll be the first step, and then extension cords. So let's get started. All right, so as you can see, about 10 minutes in, we got 2 seats out, so that's not bad. Was able to, so each seat has 2 bolts through the wall. Those are easy. They come right out with the impact. A little finagling to reach them, but no big deal. And then there are 4 bolts per seat going into the floor towards the aisle. So I got lucky, and on this back set of seats, 4 out of those 8 bolts snapped with ratchet. So if we can keep getting that lucky, then only about 4 to grind, and with the big grinder they don't take too long to grind through, and we end up with hopefully more seats piled up out there. So I'm gonna keep at it. Well, guys, I am beat. I'm sweaty because it's a really humid day. But hopefully not anything on fire. Something's smoking right there, but I think it'll be. Anyway, it's done, as you can see. So everything's out. I don't know what's smoking on this driver's seat. I obviously got something. Oh, I think it's the. I don't even know what's smoking. Anyway, hopefully it doesn't catch on fire. But by the way, that thing is heavy. It's got to be 150 pounds. But at any rate, it's done. Got my collection of seats that now I have to try to get rid of. I didn't take out that front divider right by the steps. I figured it might be nice to stack something against up there. So it's got a handrail coming up the steps. So, and I was done grinding and all that. So, I'm nasty. I don't even want to think about the 30 years worth of candy goo and spit and boogers and snot and barf, and I don't even want to think about it anymore. It's all over my hands, and it's time to go take a shower. I took a shower this morning about 2 hours ago, but I'm going to take another one right now before I even continue, because it's pretty disgusting. So once I do that, I'm going to come back out here and sweep this all up, get it cleaned up best I can for what it's going to be, get the rest of those leaf springs out of there, get this seat hauled up to the barn, and we're ready to start stacking stuff in. So all in all, it took me an hour and 40 minutes. So that's less than I thought it would. I'm not going to complain about that. Okay, here we go, guys. The finished shed. So we were down to just a few bales of hay and straw, but got all kinds of other odds and ends, engine cranes and snow blowers and plywood and drywall and transmission jacks and you name it. So obviously tons more room. We're gonna make a run in the Cummins truck next weekend and fill that back half up full of hay. Get a, I don't know, or actually probably up here too, 20, 30 bales, whatever. Be good for a long time, which was the whole point of this operation, right? Right. All right, well, let's go get some work done on the Loadstar. What do you say? As you can see, the drive shaft's all hooked back up. So this last week, Tuesday night, something after work, really nice day. So even though it was 7, 8 o'clock at night, I came out and got the pinion cover resealed, bolted back on, and the yoke put on with the new nut, or pinion yoke put on with the new nut, drive shaft back on, and then shot a coat of paint over everything. Drive shaft just had some, I don't know what it was. It was like a satin or flat black kind of paint. It was rubbing right off just with wax and grease remover, so it was just some cheap stuff. So anyway, I got another couple coats of gloss black on it. Anyway, like I say, all sealed up that way it could dry. Have plenty of dry time before I went to do any work and put fluid back into the axles. So in the meantime, what I've got here is, you can see my 4-inch axle nut. I think this might actually be a 4 1/8, but I can tap the socket onto the nut with a dead blow, so it works. So right now, this one, I actually have, my torque wrench only goes up to 150 foot-pounds. So that's what it's going to get. So, spec says somewhere around 200 foot-pounds, torque that inner nut to, then back it off one full turn, then retorque it to 50. Then your outer nut, or your locking tab and your outer nut go on, and there's another process there. So I'll go through the whole thing here and let you guys see what I'm doing and get a little bit of the process. So here we go. So again, I have a baby torque wrench, so I've got this up at 150 pounds. I've actually already torqued this, but I'll put it on right here so you'll see what I get. Okay, so 150 is going to do it. So then I'm going to actually take, rather than using the torque wrench, I'll take my 3/4 drive, and we're going to do, so we're vertical there. We're going to do one full turn back off. Okay. There's that. Now we're going to reset the torque wrench down to 50 foot-pounds. 90. And there's 50. Take it back up. Okay. There's 50. Now, there's another back off. Oh, what am I doing? This one is a quarter turn back off. So we'll again start at the top. It's about a quarter. Now we're done with our... Now we will install the part that I can't find. There it is. So there's our locking tab. Wipe it down a little bit. And line that up. There we go. Spilling my beer. This is supposed to be torqued to 200 plus foot-pounds. That's not going to happen. The torque wrench doesn't do that. So what I'm going to do to get us in the neighborhood, we're going to torque it as far as we can. The torque wrench, that gives me a good feel. Okay, so we know we're at 150 foot-pounds there. And I'm just gonna send it a little extra. We're probably well over 200 now. Be honest with you guys, we're gonna call that good. So, nope, almost forgot. Paper gasket back on. Oh, geez, forgetting all sorts of stuff. Couple of those dogs down, dog ears, whatever you want to call them. Not quite enough yet. Just bending my chisel here.
Chisel I use for, I'm not getting my drop that either, but nope. Just heavier chisel. Man. There we go.
Perfect. Okay. paper gasket back on. These were brand new. I put on not too long ago. I didn't put any kind of gasket material on them, so they generally are still in good shape. So I'm gonna reuse them. No reason to replace them. There we go. Now let's put this boy back in place. Rotate. There we go. Okay. Now if you remember, I got these new castle nuts, so I'm going to use those. The old ones are old and gummy. These are just unpainted steel, so I'm going to just put a coat of gloss black on them. And this side will be done. Okay. Let's snug them down. As you can see, I'm definitely using the torque wrench on these, right? Side done. We'll get that wiped down a little bit, paint it up, and and then I've got two studs that have nuts stuck on them, so we're gonna get these in the vise and get those nuts off, because we're also replacing all 5 lug bolts, so we'll get to working on that. Okay guys, so as you can see, we've got the well, I gotta put the new hardware on the Daytons just to keep it off the floor until I get the wheels and tires in. Going around here, I'm gonna fit this tripod. See, we got the other side done, all done there, and then I went ahead and pulled the shoes off the front axle too, just so we're ready. So that being said, with that rear all buttoned up, we are gonna finally put fluid in this thing and hopefully be done with it. So I've got my bucket pump set up, got the plugs out, so let's get this thing filled. All right. Okay. So it's full, but I want to tip a little bit of fluid towards the hub ends, towards each one. So there's no hub plugs on this axle. So to be honest with you, I pre-lubed the bearings when I cleaned them and reinstalled, but I'm just gonna take a jack and lift up one side and then the other, let it sit for a few seconds going each way, and that way we've got some gear oil around those bearings, and then obviously once we start driving, we'll start lubing them that way too. So that's the plan. now. Get under here. We're just gonna pull this plug back out and see if we need to top it up. Probably not gonna have to, I'm gonna guess, but right in the gear lube, of course. Oh, we're still right there. So as you guys can see, the other thing that needs to be worked on here is this coolant leak has gotten worse, and I can't let it go. So what happened though, when it got worse, I know it's dripping from the lower neck, the lower radiator neck. And I, last weekend, tried to just snug up that hose clamp, and when I snugged it up and wiggled a little bit, the leak got worse. So I'm actually hoping, because I don't want to have to pay to recore this radiator. Well, what I'm hoping is that it's just the neck, and I might be able to braze it. So I think I'm going to drain coolant out right now. Might not get into it, but at least let it drain and drip dry over the week. And then worst case, maybe next weekend we can monkey with it. But, you can see it's dripping right from the lower neck there. So get this drained out and see what happens. Okay, guys, well, the radiator's out. Didn't have to take out the whole core support. Played with the grill, got it out. Hold on. It's back up a little bit. So there's the front of the motor. But more importantly, we found the problem. So this has been repaired before, poorly. I don't know if they looks like they just tried to solder it. Anyway, I think I'm going to take this to a radiator shop so they can pressure test it and see what we got going on. I just don't feel like taking this thing out again. So anyway, probably reseal that neck, and possibly the upper neck, and see if we got any other problems. I mean, again, I don't want to recore this thing. I don't put enough money into this. It's a good radiator. As long as it doesn't leak, I'm going to put it back in. So anyway, there's that. The other thing I just finished doing is disassembling the seat from the bus. It's a good seat. It's a Bostrom. So anyway, I think I'm going to take it to work and power wash it and get it all cleaned up. But I also made some modifications in the cab to allow for it. Show you what I got. So took out all that old stock sliding seat. I took out this side support. What I'm gonna do is just get some more of this transition strip and just do a complete line across there. It'll look a lot nicer. And then the seat base, you can see where I've got it sketched out here. It's perfect. It ends right at the end of that transition strip. Right, tucks behind here, runs here, and right along. I mean, that's perfect. That's centered on the wheel, right where it needs to be. And then that gives me almost full range of motion back on the seat. I mean, the seat will be touching the back wall here, and which is all I need it to be, and then it's got probably another 5 to 6 inches of forward motion, which would put it, way up here. So I guess if my wife ever wanted to drive this, she could. I'm not too worried about it. So actually it's going to work out really good. So I'll see if I can source up some transition strip and wash that seat base up so it can get cleaned up and painted up and lubricated next weekend and bolted in here. And then at that point we'll just have upholstery to do, which is going to depend on some other seat work with this old stuff, but we'll tackle that next weekend. I've exhausted the time I've got for the Loadstar for today. Got to get my tires and wheels and parts hauled across the street, and I gotta work on my lawnmower because my grass is really long. I don't know if I can wait until next weekend. So that being said, guys, thanks for watching, and we'll catch you next weekend.